Bhadram karne vishrunuyama devaha Bhadram pashye makshabhirya chatraha Sthireirangais tushtuvagum sastanubihi Vyashema devahitan yadayuhu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, O gods, may we hear with our ears what is auspicious. O ye adorable ones, may we see with our eyes what is auspicious. May we sing praises to ye and enjoy with strong limbs and body the life allotted to us by the gods. Om, peace, peace, peace. True freedom is not absolute self-sufficiency. True freedom is the ability to freely coordinate one's will with another, ultimately finding perfection in serving God. True freedom is not absolute self-sufficiency, but the ability to freely coordinate one's will with another, ultimately finding perfection in serving God. It is of high importance to use our free will for love and good in the awareness of the dangers of selfishness and the need for a sense of purpose. Freedom is a gift. It's a gift to be used wisely and dedicated to a higher purpose. Freedom is a gift, ultimately leading to a greater freedom and fulfillment. A superficial freedom to wander aimlessly here and there, to taste this or that, to make a choice of distractions is simply a sham, a pretense. It claims to be a freedom of choice when it has evaded the basic task of discovering who it is that chooses. We must make the choices that enable us to fulfill the deepest capacities of our real selves. We must make the choices that enable us to fulfill the deepest capacities of our real selves. Thomas Merton. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Ramakrishna Monastery. Our topic today is the freedom to choose. What do you think? Do we have the freedom to choose, to make choices? I think so. But at the same time, it deserves some clarification. The freedom. We often celebrate the freedom to choose as the ultimate individual liberty. But is this freedom truly making us free? The freedom to choose is not an unrestrained liberty, but a sophisticated and deeply spiritual understanding of human agency within the cosmic order. This is something that we forget, or it's not clear to us. Freedom, yes, we have the freedom to choose. But it's not an unrestrained liberty, but a sophisticated and deeply spiritual understanding of human agency. There is responsibility. And this within the cosmic order. We all contribute. It's not just me, mine. I don't care about anybody else. Yes, there is a cosmic order. Thomas Merton says in his book, "No man is an island." He says, we must make the choices that enable us to fulfill the deepest capacities of our real selves. Our choices are too often dictated by our false selves. Hence, I do not find in myself the power to be happy merely by doing what I like. On the contrary, if I do nothing except what pleases me, what pleases my own fancy, I will be miserable almost all the time. That reminder, that should be all the time happening in all of us, to remember this. On the contrary, if I do nothing except what pleases my own fancy, I will be miserable almost all the time. Freedom is not merely a social or psychological construct, but a fundamental aspect of human existence, interwoven with the laws of karma and the pursuit of dharma. Are you following? Do you remember what we discussed in previous talks or lectures? The universal order, the moral law. You can find them on Spotify or on YouTube. Well, in that specific lecture, I quoted from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Upanishad is the end of the Vedas. We find the answer to the fundamental questions of life. And here, in this particular Upanishad, we find the answer to what God is. The shining immortal being who is in this righteousness, and the shining immortal being identified with righteousness in this body are but this capital Self. The same shining immortal being everywhere, the totality of God, is shining within all of us. And it manifests itself in righteousness. So there is no way out for any one of us. The only way to God is through righteousness. In Sanskrit, we call that dharma. Nothing is higher than dharma. Dharma is like a matrix, like a mold of norms that forms the basis for one's interaction with the world. We have a set of values that defines our personalities, all of us. That define, this set of values define who we are. Everybody chooses this structure of values. We all have it, whether you believe or not believe in God, whether you are religious or non-religious. These values are exercised by the human choice. It is this free will that allows us to choose that demands some kind of control, A human being is given a free will, but at the same time, what is not given to us is the basis of how to control this freedom. Because my free will ends where yours starts. Do you see it? We are free, but we have to respect each other. I have to respect your free will. A human being is given a free will, but at the same time is not given a basis to control that freedom. Where there is freedom, there is this possibility to abuse that freedom. Well, I don't care. Just do what I want. How would you feel about that? Where there is freedom, there is the possibility for abuse. Abuse becomes obvious. It is obvious to our own conscience. We know we are abusing that freedom. Sometimes we can't control ourselves. It has become a habit. We do carry a sensor, all of us, that helps us understand what is right and what is wrong. One knows this is wrong. This doesn't feel right. There is a self-controlling system. We all have it. Some of us choose not to pay attention to it, not to exercise it, and they shouldn't complain. Some of us choose to exercise it to some extent. Sometimes we forget. We make mistakes. And there are people who constantly practice this. They are called mature beings, mature spiritual beings. This self-control system works as a mold, a structure, a matrix for our values. The simple definition for these values is what I expect of others or expected of me by others is clearly known to everyone. Do you agree? We talked about this. It's just a reminder. Because this is the basis for our freedom to choose. In other words, the conclusion was that dharma, righteousness, is nothing but God. So God is very close to us. It is our choice to live in Him, through Him, and for Him by the practice of righteousness. We have this self-controlling system in all of us. We know what is right. We know when we are abusing the law. We sense God in the form of dharma. We sense God in the form of righteousness. This is the fundamental practice for the purification of our minds. You practice this, whether you know it or not, you are a religious person. You pay attention to this self-manifesting kind of controlling system that we all have. Whether we know it or not, we are religious people. To go against dharma is to go against God. To know dharma is to know God. Since all of us are conscious beings with the freedom to choose, we all need this matrix of values to respect each other, to control our freedom. Do you agree? That's why we have the do's and don'ts. But there is a reason, because there is a natural law behind that. In navigating the fulfillment of my desires expressed through actions, in navigating the fulfillment of my desires, I want this, I want that, I like this, I dislike that, expressed through my actions in words, thoughts, and deeds, I can go wrong. I can go against myself. These values are exercised by our human choice. It is necessary for human beings to acknowledge and exercise this self-controlling system we call dharma in Sanskrit as the only means to control our freedom. It is something that is present. It is present here and now in all of us as conscious beings. Because God gave us the freedom to choose. Now, the choice. That was freedom. Let us combine that freedom with choice. The choice is a dynamic interplay between destiny and the human effort or free will. The choice is a dynamic interplay between what we call in Sanskrit purushartha, the human effort or will, and the prarabdha, destiny. Prarabdha is prarabdha karma. I know you all love this, no? Karma. Is Swami going to talk about karma right now? A little bit. We need to be reminded. The law of karma, prarabdha, destiny. Just think about it. Our choice is nothing but our circumstances, where we are placed in this today. What brought us here is what we call prarabdha, our destiny. In our bodies, in the families we were born, our circumstances in life. Do we have any control? No. We were brought to this game with this. Here, this is what you have. Go, play. It's true. And then we have what we call our free will, our effort. Prarabdha represents the results of past action or karma that are currently unfolding, shaping our circumstances, inherent talents that we all have, and even our predispositions.
Are you sick?
Now, we have to remember there are three types of karma based on our actions. Prarabdha karma are all of these accumulated karma. A portion is ready for fruition in this particular life. That maturing karma is called prarabdha karma. We are here because of our past actions. And because it's working, this is called prarabdha. We are here now. We also have what we call samchita karma, which is the karma that's been accumulated from previous lives, but not manifested yet. And then we have at last the agami karma, which is what we do, our choices in this very present life. Some of it, a part of it, will manifest, will give fruits in this very life, and part of it will go to this samchita karma for the next life. It's like having a bank account. Now, this is what the scriptures say. This is how it is explained by our teachers. Swami, do you have any proof of it? It's your choice. Does it make sense to you? Can you explain the circumstances of your destiny here and now? I would say, well, it makes sense. As far as my experience goes in this very life, if I did wrong, I felt that I did wrong, and I paid the price for that. Having to experience that. And vice versa. When you do good, you feel good. And the more good you do, the better you feel. Does it make sense? So far, we are bound here by our destiny and our choices, our efforts. So the karma that's been accumulated and has not given fruits yet will not affect you in this life because it's not ready for fruition. Whereas prarabdha, destiny, which is ready for fruition, is responsible for our current life. Clear? Prarabdha decides whether you are born as a human or animal, male or female, healthy or with some disorders, your parents, your place of birth. your life experiences. That's it. We are thrown to this world, and now we have to play. No complaints. It was our own choice, our own doing. At the end of our life, prarabdha will be exhausted. That will determine the end, game over for this body. These are given conditions in our lives. Now, our choices is called purushartha, our present ability to choose, to decide, to act, is real. Don't you think it's real? You decided to come here instead of coming for a walk or a hike. Didn't ask you, it was your choice. And it's profoundly significant. Purusha is a combination, Purushartha is a combination of two words. Purusha means a human being. Artha has different meanings, but combined with Purushartha, it means the goal of every human being. And the moment we are born in this world, we have some needs and wants. We want shelter, we want food, substance, we want to survive, we want to live. Isn't that natural? When we grow up, that being covered, we want to enjoy life. Now from Artha, covering all these needs, we come to Kama, enjoyment, pleasures. We want to enjoy life. Let's have fun. There is only one life, right? Until we realize that's kind of like, it is not as people say. We have to pay the consequences of our actions and our desires. The consequences of this pressure that we are under all the time. I want. I want to do what I want, but then you have to be responsible. If our present ability to choose, to decide, to act, if these were absent, the very concept of karma would lose its meaning, as there would be no moral responsibility for actions. Without the belief in one's ability to choose, there would be no motivation to seek for something higher, to seek something higher. We call that self-knowledge. To practice discipline, or to engage in self-inquiry. In Vedantic language, no? Who am I? What am I doing here? What is all this? I'm tired of this. I just want to be fulfilled. I want to be happy all the time. Without the belief in one's ability to choose, there would be no motivation for self-knowledge. While we may not choose in our present awareness to choose or correct our behavior, the initial position on how we are positioned in this game, we no doubt possess the freedom to choose how we play this game, how we respond to situations, and what new karma, the new karma we create. Do you agree? While we don't choose how we are born in this, apparently, because we are here now, you say, well, I wanted to be rich or be born in different circumstances, right? Well, we don't have any choice. It is what it is. We do have the freedom to choose how we play in this life and how to respond to situations and the new karma we create. You follow? Now, there is an apparent freedom to choose. In everyday life, individuals believe they are free because they can choose among various options. But our choices, my friends, are heavily influenced by past experiences, desires, fears, and cultural conditioning. Yes, we have the freedom to choose. Of that, we are free. But we are not that free. We are heavily influenced by our past actions, desires, fears, and cultural conditioning. Does it make sense? I wish, but the reality is different. Right? These latent impressions, these past experiences are called vasanas, impressions, that shape our preferences and decisions, making them far from free. The essence of genuine freedom lies either in the transition from reaction to conscious action. The essence of genuine freedom lies in the transition from reaction to conscious action. I will think before I act. Otherwise, without thinking, you are no better than an animal. You are being led by your past desires, past impressions. So human beings, we have the responsibility to stop and think and make those actions conscious. I'm going to do what is right, what it feels right. Not what others do sometimes. I will choose to think before acting. Much of human behavior is driven by vasanas, subtle impressions, tendencies, and conditioned responses. Such actions, though seemingly chosen, are often mechanical, dictated by unexamined impulses. Do you agree? Yes, we have the freedom to choose, but sometimes we just don't think, don't act as humans. External conditions such as social economic status, family backgrounds, and even genetic makeup constrain the field of our possible choices. This is what we call freedom within bondage. I'm sorry. This is the truth. We are free, yet there are some problems there. We have to act against as humans. Not ultimate freedom, but increasing clarity and autonomy in the relative realm. The freedom within bondage, not ultimate freedom, but increasing clarity and autonomy in the relative realm. Clarity and autonomy. Free will functions within the framework of our actions. Remember what Sri Ramakrishna used to say? He used the analogy of a cow tied to a post with a rope to explain the concept of free will. He stated that just as a cow can move freely within the radius of the rope, but is ultimately restricted by its tether, humans have a limited degree of free will bounded by their karmic debts and nature. It is what it is. You know, I wish so many things, but the reality, the hard reality is this. This freedom is not absolute, but rather a degree of movement within a defined boundary. Do you see it? Yet, we still have responsibility. We have the freedom to choose our actions. True? Yes. From here onwards, we are free to lead our lives based on values, not to do what I want without caring. My neighbor, my family, etc., etc. You cannot change your past, but you can respond to it with awareness. You cannot change your past, but you can respond to it with awareness. That is the beginning of strengthening your will, your willpower. Is it clear? We are not responsible for the result, but we are responsible for our attitude. Our attitude towards that result. We find this all over the Bhagavad Gita. Just to quote a few verses from chapter number 2. Karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala heturbuhu ma te sangostva karmani. Your choice. You have the right. Your choice is in the action only, never in the result. Do not think you are the author of the results of your actions. Let attachment not be to inaction. We are here to act, but to act correctly, not against ourselves. We have the right to work only, but never to the fruits thereof. In chapter number 3, we find another verse. Prakrite kriyamanani unai karmani sarvashaha ahamkar vimudatma kartaham iti manyate. The gunas of Prakriti, the powers in this phenomena, in nature, perform all actions with the understanding deluded by egoism. Man thinks, I am the doer. Yes, you may think, well, Swami, this is very high. Yes, it is. Sorry. It is. Because right now we all have the understanding that we are doers. Because we are identified with this body-mind complex. And it's here where we have to work. That constant noise. Yes. While empirical freedom is real in the relative world, it is inherently limited and conditioned. While empirical freedom is real in the relative world, it is inherently limited and conditioned. Every action and every choice is shaped by past impressions and conditioning. Therefore, our choices are never fully free. They are influenced by latent tendencies. However, through consistent effort, that is our responsibility, and awareness, one can begin to see these patterns and gradually gain some distance from them. True freedom begins when the individual cultivates buddhi, the intellect, discriminating faculty, to pause, to reflect, and to deliberately choose a response rather than being passively carried by ingrained patterns. This capacity for conscious thought and decision-making is what elevates human beings and inspires their actions with genuine spiritual meaning. What we call free will is essentially the mind's ability to make choices based on its current clarity and maturity. Again, what we call free will is essentially the mind's ability to make choices based on its current clarity and maturity. A clear mind makes choices that lead to peace, and understanding. That's what a clear mind does. A confused mind, on the other hand, choices that reinforce, the choices of a confused mind reinforce suffering. Freedom lies in choosing wisely. Thus, strengthening the free will involves cultivating a mind that can distinguish between what brings lasting fulfillment and what merely offers temporary gratification. Is it clear? Strengthening the mind, the free will, involves cultivating a mind that can distinguish between what brings lasting fulfillment and what merely offers temporary gratification. What do we generally choose? The last one. Temporary gratification. Tomorrow, I don't care. But what about your present? You will have to pay the price for every action and thought and word that you throw out there to the world. The freedom to choose is not a license for arbitrary or self-serving behavior, but the profound opportunity to align one's actions with dharma or God. Making choices that are ethically sound and contribute to the universal harmony not only purifies the mind, but also redirects the flow of karma towards more favorable outcomes, here or in future lives, in the unseen. This conscious adherence to dharma is itself a supreme pursuit, signifying a mature exercise of free will. The freedom I have to choose what is right. There is a problem though, because we ignore our true nature. We need help. Because we ignore this, we forget this. We need help. How to comply with dharma, with what is right, when I am under constant pressure. What pressure? The pressure of my desires, of doing whatever I want, the way I want, without considering others, without honoring God in others, without respecting nature. The pressure of constantly having to abide by dharma, by what is right, disregarding our selfishness. That happens to us all the time. Well, how can we help ourselves? Making the right choices. Easy. Just do what is right. Having a set of values, a good structure, help us a lot. That's why religions encourage people to have a religious way of life, because it's better for you. Not because it's a dogma, it's a reality. Making the right choices. Right choices of what? First thing first, actions. In word, thought, and deed. Because it is through actions that we can be in communion with God. Remember what I told you? From the Upanishad it comes, God is dharma, God is righteousness. If we do what is right, if we pay attention to that self-controlling system within us that tells us, hey, this is good, hey, no, don't do that, that's not cool, then we'll be closer to God. So, right choices of our actions, the right actions. The actions that will help us grow spiritually, expand spiritually. And the second thing is the right attitude, the right disposition. Do it with love. When I learned cooking, my mom was alive, so said the main ingredient is love. What is love in cooking? Those moms here, to pay attention to what you are doing, to every single detail. Now this is the right time, the right temperature, right? Love, attitude, the right action and right attitude. That's the secret. What about the stuff that I cannot help? I can't, work out through effort or choices. The stuff that I can control. For that, you constantly invoke the divine. I gave a talk on prayer. Constantly making connections with the divine. Because that is real. To be reminded that God is present in every action, and to pray and invoke, make me aware, make me human, make me make the right choices. Don't make me react. That's invoking the divine, invoking God, having a God-centered life, having a relationship with the ultimate reality, with a name and form, if you need inspiration. You can call it Jesus, Buddha, whatever you want to call it. But if you have a name and form that you want to relate to as the ultimate reality, you have to fall in love. That image, idea of God is your highest treasure. Because that's the mean that connects you to the ultimate truth, to the law. That will give you peace, inner peace, and that's all we want. Constantly making connections with the divine will help us guide our actions in word, thoughts, and deeds. Our actions and choices are the main means we have for purification and communion with God. You see, it was easy. It's all in our actions. That's how you can experience God. Spiritual life begins where personal responsibility begins. The moment you become aware of this, you are responsible. You can't blame anybody else. You can't blame God because it's on you. Until now that you know, it's on you. You have to behave. It's on us. We have to make that choice. Strengthening our free will means taking ownership of one's own thoughts, words, and actions. This includes recognizing habitual patterns and choosing differently. Practicing mindfulness and detachment. Of what? of all the stuff that I want. And there is no way that I get it or I could get it except by going against dharma. So practicing mindfulness and detachment, aligning choices with values rather than desires. Aligning choices is very important. Aligning choices with values rather than desires. Accepting the results of actions without any clinging to it. Sometimes it's not what I want, but what we deserve. We have to accept it. In the end, our goal is real freedom. Now comes the hardest part. I have to tell you this. Until now, it's all in our experience, our daily life. We feel free, yes. We are free to the point that, we are bound by our habits and past choices, our desires, right? Can we use our freedom? Yes. It's on us to lead a God-centered life. But the goal is to achieve total freedom. The only way to achieve that freedom is to have a clear mind, a calm mind. And for that, you guys, we have to make connections with the higher reality we call God. That's the only way we experience peace. That's the only way knowledge will dawn in our minds. The real knowledge, the knowledge of ourselves, our real selves, self-knowledge, clarity will shine in our minds. The truth is, freedom is not attained through action or willpower, but through knowledge. The real freedom is achieved only through the understanding of our unity with the totality. We are gods living a human experience. We have the capacity to be self-conscious. Isn't that something? Without self-knowledge, we identify with the body-mind complex, believing ourselves to be limited beings, subject to change and suffering. It is our experience. From this standpoint, any freedom is illusory. From this standpoint, any freedom is illusory, because until we find total freedom, we'll be bound by these laws. The so-called freedom to choose is often driven by compulsion rather than self-conscious decisions. This knowledge removes the ignorance that causes one to see oneself as a limited individual, seeking happiness through choices. This ultimate knowledge will make us experience fulfillment. So, when you are fulfilled, what choices do you have? You are done. You are fulfilling yourself. True freedom is not merely the ability to make choices, but the realization of one's identity as the non-dual self, which transcends all limitations of doership and causality. I know this is high truth, but this is Vedanta. True freedom lies not in the ability to choose among objects or actions, but in the realization that one is not the doer nor the experiencer of our actions. The identity, the I and mine, will vanish once you reach that understanding. This freedom is not an escape from reality, but a profound engagement with it, an ongoing process of self-awareness, discrimination, and alignment with the universal order, culminating in the liberating realization of one's true nature beyond the confines of all choices. The self is ever free and unattached by the transactional world. Freedom is not something to be achieved. It is what you are. We are free already. In our ignorance, in our identification with this body, we believe to be something limited. Thus, the ultimate freedom is not freedom, it's the freedom to choose. The ultimate freedom is not the freedom to choose, but the freedom from choice. When one understands that they are not the agent of actions, the burden of choice dissolves in one's life with clarity, equanimity, and grace. Only then does one recognize that the freedom to choose was always a function of the mind, while the true self is eternally free. This is the highest realization. This is coming face to face with God. True freedom is not about choosing better options, but realizing that one has never been bound. Here and now. The goal is transcending what we call free will. Paradoxically, the culmination of spiritual growth is the recognition that there is no individual free will. When self-knowledge dawns, the illusion of being a separate agent dissolves. One realizes that all actions occur in the field of dependent reality, and the true self remains untouched. The true self, for all of us, is present here and now. The true self is the witness. The true self is that awareness of your own existence here and now. It doesn't go anywhere. It's always present. Until we fully identify with that, we have to pay attention to our actions. Because there is kind of like a magic that makes us identify with this body and makes us believe that we are limited beings. Yet, until that realization occurs, the aspirant, all of us, must continue to use the apparent power of choice, to move closer to truth. Do you see it? In this way, free will serves as a ladder that one climbs and eventually leaves behind. Again, in the book, No Man is an Island, I hope you will now understand Thomas Merton. Quote, he says, true freedom is not absolute self-sufficiency. True freedom is the ability to freely coordinate one's will with another, ultimately finding perfection in serving God. It is only in that center, in the totality, not in your bodies, that you will find true freedom. It is of high importance to use our free will for love and good in the awareness of the dangers of selfishness and the need for a sense of purpose. Freedom is a gift to be used wisely and dedicated to a higher purpose, ultimately leading to a greater freedom and fulfillment. Exactly the same. Isn't it beautiful? A superficial freedom to wander aimlessly in this life, I would add, here or there, to taste this or that, to make a choice of distractions, is simply a sham, a pretense. It claims to be a freedom of choice when it has evaded the basic task of discovering who it is that chooses. We have to discover ourselves. We have to realize, to wake up and understand the ultimate truth. The only way to do it is to lead a conscious life, to be aware of our actions, to be aware of our choices. We must make the choices that enable us to fulfill the deepest capacities of our real selves, says Thomas Merton. Thank you so much. I hope it's clear. It is on us to choose to do something about it, to do something about our lives, to have a purpose, to center our lives in what is right, and not just in our power to react. It's all coming from past actions, past tendencies, past habits. We have the responsibility to change that with our choices. Before we react, we have to make a conscious decision. Conscious decision. What am I doing? What am I going to say? Is it going to be hurtful? Am I going to make her or him cry with my words? It's in every action, in every thought. That where we can experience God. The more we do it, the more aware we become, the closer we'll get to God. Because it's present. It's not in a heaven somewhere. It's here. It is in righteousness, the way we purify our mind. It is in righteousness the way we find calmness and peace within us. So acceptance of what it is. We were placed in this board, board, with our circumstances. The scriptures say that's based on past karma. God knows. We have no control over that. We have to accept it. And from here onwards, we do have the responsibility to act consciously, to change my present and as a result my future. To find this knowledge, this, I get it now, I see it. It was always there. It was clouded by my wrongdoings, by my selfishness. Do we have the freedom to choose? Yes. We have a huge responsibility to lead a God-centered life, to lead a spiritual life, where we become aware that it's not about myself, but about all of us as a unity. I know. You must say, Swami, did you read the news? I know. Well, that's called ignorance. That's the reality of the world today. It is our responsibility we do something about it, starting with our own lives. Starting at home. Thinking before reacting. And this is what spiritual life is all about, my friends. It wasn't that difficult.